All right. If you want to interrupt, Phil, while I'm talking, feel free.
Well, I mean, just introduce yourself.
My name's Jonathan Maitland. I'm here to support Phil's petition. I'm a broadcaster. I present the Tonight programme on ITV, but I've also written a play called An Audience with Jimmy Savile, which has caused a bit of a fuss because I think people are worried about the content, but I can assure you that it's a very honourable enterprise. It's not about making money, it's about making people understand and giving victims a voice, and I'm very proud of it, and I hope that anybody who's worried about it will ask me questions via Phil, and I'll be happy to answer anything because I know that we're doing the right thing.
Can you tell me more about how it's set up, the play, and what it's doing?
The play is called An Audience with Jimmy Savile, which sounds like it's all about him. It isn't actually. It's about a survivor who suffers at his hands. The play, the concept is, it's 1991 and there's a television show which is dedicated to bigging him up and making out that he's a huge hero, which of course we all did. We were all responsible. And the audience bit of the title refers to the complicity that the audience and society had in making Savile the man he was, but also crucially in denying victims a voice, not even listening to them, and that's the key thing. So during the play, off stage, there's somebody who suffered at his hands called Lucy, who's a kind of composite character, who is denied by various agencies, her parents, the media, that's me, us, we all let you and her down, the police, politicians, everybody let survivors down. But I'm pleased to say that during the writing of the play we've thought of quite an uplifting ending where finally she does get listened to. Obviously I don't want to give too much away because, you know, it's a dramatic exercise, but we're very, very keen to be responsible to the subject matter and not sensationalise it, and I don't think we have.
Thank you very much for your time.
Is that it? Okay.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Right, Sharon from the Crossroads. We're now walking in the middle of the road, holding the traffic up. Support of child abuse.
About things we believe in.
Sorry?
It's our duty to disobey about things we believe in. We have the moral law on our side, maybe not the legal law, but morally we're in the right. So moral law trumps legal legislation about where you can and cannot walk. It's your public duty to come and disobey if you feel strong enough about the issues of the day. And is there some issue what's going on with our kids and the establishment?
Yeah.
There's no bigger issue than this. This is the establishment lying to us, withholding information against our democratic, free will of the people. That's what democracy is. Yeah. We want to see these people out.
The question I'd like to ask is why aren't the people out on the streets en masse? Given the amount of abuse, this bloke's going to run us over in a minute. I don't care who you are, mate. We've got a point to make.
Exactly. I went to Russell Brand's Monday night stand-up about 2 weeks ago, and he opened with a very edgy joke. He had a purpose, and the joke was around a boy and sexual abuse, and everyone was like, "You can't say that." And Russell Brand said, "People, this is an imaginary child I'm abusing. Today there are real children being abused by our leaders in Westminster." And when people hear comedians making jokes about child abuse, they're shocked and appalled. But we're not shocked and appalled when it happens to real children.
Real children,
the people that unfortunately lead our country.
Yeah.
I mean, what is going on? How are people not outraged?
Yeah, they should be. They absolutely should be, and that's what I don't understand. Are you a supporter or are you a survivor?
Oh no, I'm very lucky not to have experienced that.
So you are a supporter, which is nice because you have no other motive than to support the people that have been abused and are trying to get their cases, you know, heard in a fair manner. Would you like to give your name?
My name's Simon.
Simon. Where have you come from, Simon?
I'm from London.
From London, yeah.
I also attend the Occupy protests.
Right, yeah.
It's about the transparency, openness and democracy. And what we see here, aside from the heartbreaking, terrible story of the victims, which is awful, there's a complete lack of democracy and transparency. It's just the second story after the victims, but there's a huge story around democracy and transparency in our government.
Yes, but it's not transparent and there is no accountability, is there?
Absolutely none.
Did you know that the EU passed a law preventing our politicians from being prosecuted? The idea of the law was to protect them in times of war when soldiers go crazy and you know, destroy a village. That was the idea of the law. But politicians being what they are, they've taken that law and abused it, if you like, to prevent them from facing prosecution.
Yeah. And that's my first point. It's about the moral and spiritual right.
Yeah.
Whether you're religious or not, there's a spiritual moral right, and that we know the code, right? We know the code of what's wrong and what's right.
Yeah.
Walking in the road is not an offence compared to covering up, being complicit in the cover-up of child abuse in Westminster, or child abuse across the country in social services.
Yes, yeah. If we behaved like our politicians, we'd all be in prison.
Absolutely.
So definitely. Yeah. You know, so and that's been my point. Well, thank you for talking to me, Simon. I'm Sharon from the Crossroads.
You're saying that it's important that child abuse survivors stand up and show that they're not prepared to be marginalised by the government's child abuse inquiry, which is descending into a yes minister farce. Justice Goddard has declared that abuse survivors lack the objectivity and therefore cannot be on the inquiry panel. And instead, she declares that some of them can sit on a consultation panel. And this consultative panel is by definition tarred with the same brush as lacking objectivity. The ban on survivors being on the panel is a direct slur on those of us that have disclosed and is an attack on our objectivity and integrity. It's the same as which stops over 10 million people in this country disclosing for fear of stigmatisation. The Home Office therefore leaves paedophiles at large and children at serious risk. The Home Office are squirming. They refuse to confirm that all members of the panel were checked as to whether they were survivors of sex abuse or not. This ban is just an excuse to bar survivors.
Hear, hear.
Meanwhile, on the panel is Drusilla Sharpling, who's employed by the Home Office, and Alex J, who was a senior social work manager. So how independent will they be? They have a clear conflict of interest, and such people will not shine a torch into the dark corners for fear they will see themselves and their friends. Only major protests by the survivors plus public outrage had stopped this inquiry from being a complete farce. We must continue our fight, and we must not forget that this inquiry was supposed to deal with the establishment. And you start sweeping the stairs from the top.
Yeah. From the top!
From the top!
From the top!
I now believe that we need a separate urgent inquiry.
Sharon with Mickey at the Trafalgar Square, supporting the survivors of abuse and trying to get an open and transparent inquiry. Now I'm going to hand over to Mickey because there's been developments in Nottingham, so I'll leave it over to you, Nicky.
Well, we are here today to Trafalgar Square because we've got to keep this going nationwide, but in Nottingham the police announced a new investigation called Operation Series. Well, we've been aware of that since last year. Through a whistleblower that we have, we were told that there was a meeting between the council and the police, the alarming number of people that are coming forward, and that they needed to do something about it. So the agreement was that they set up a separate investigation. That investigation, as I said, is Operation Series. And within 24 hours of it being announced, 5 or 6 people have already come forward. Now, this is on the back of a local journalist in Mansfield called Nick Frame actually going out and really going to town on this and hammering the case home. He's been asking the police week after week after week what is going on. I've handed him over recorded telephone calls that are backed up by claims to Nick. Without Nick, Nottingham would have been blown wide open this week. What we've had in Nottingham is that being blown wide open. Channel 4 blew it wide open on Channel 4 News. Central News blew it. Russia Today, it went global.
Yeah.
Friends of mine in New York actually watched it.
Wow.
So
Wow.
Nottingham is getting really on the agenda.
Yeah.
What I can tell you is there's a big bombshell. It's going to be like the atomic bomb going off in Nottingham very, very soon. I can't reveal the sources.
That's fine.
But investigative journalists have been working side by side with us. We've been bringing people to them. They've been bringing people to us. But collectively, like Nottingham, you best be ready for us because we're coming. And when we come, we're coming with a really big loud bang.
Yeah.
And if you thought Rotherham was big, well, Rotherham is going to be a dot on the map compared to what we're going to leave behind. And with that, John Collins, I've got a message for you. There's an election coming up. I might not be in it because of your dirty tricks smear campaign. But guess what? I'll be on your tail. See you soon, Johnny boy.
Awesome, Nick. That's brilliant news. The one question I'd like to ask you, now there's been a problem trying to get survivors onto the panel of this C.S.A. inquiry. Now I read last night that they want survivors to nominate 8 people to meet up for an hour and a half once a month, so they can be informed as to what's going on. Now, me, just as a supporter, I find that wholly unacceptable. How do you feel about that? They're trying to exclude survivors from this, obviously.
Well, I'm not 100% clued up on what's going on, but I'm in regular contact with Nigel O'Mara from Right House,
yeah.
who keeps me as updated as we can. I can only speak to Nottingham really because that's where my family
That's where yours, yeah, I can understand that.
What we are doing, we're going to try and push the boundaries of Westminster in Nottingham. We're on the verge of getting a survivors-led inquiry. We've got people talking to the council and the police, and we're trying to set up what they call a working group, where the C.S.A. Action Group, led by Lieutenant Colonel David Hollis, MBE, has been in some serious negotiations. I don't believe we're far from getting around the table with them, but this inquiry will have to be survivors-led.
Yeah.
We have a few people that we'd like to see like chairing the inquiry panel. My personal choice would be a judge named Judge Mumby.
Right.
He's very much on the case with what's going on with social services and the child abuse situation. But we're not far from home.
Yeah.
We've just got to sit and wait.
Yeah.
Once the bombshell hits in Nottingham,
I can't wait.
Then they'll want to get around the table.
Yes.
But to all the apologists and all those that have lied, all those that have
making excuses almost.
Yes, and those that have destroyed records, including mine.
Yes, yeah. That's
in
a
the
common
points of reference and terms of reference, there will be a place for those that have destroyed records.
Yes.
And to those of you who destroyed my records, go and do one.
Yeah, it's a criminal act. It should be a criminal act because they're destroying evidence. Because that is evidence. That's evidence that backs up your account.
It wouldn't prove my abuse, but it would actually prove my time frame.
Yes. Yes.
And
So it is evidence. It is evidence. That's how I view it. It's evidence.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you, Mickey. I know you want to get back to the crowd down. There's a good crowd, a very noisy crowd. So thanks for talking to me, and we'll be catching up with you soon.
Okay, thank you.
Right, now making our way back to Westminster House of Parliament, down the middle of the road, just to make a statement. don't know. I think they're just going down to Parliament. There's a big crowd, there's all people outside number 10, like tourists. But you never thought you'd be walking down the middle of the road in London on a Saturday afternoon.
We need to post this on Twitter, especially with Big Ben there.
Yes, yeah. And the chemtrails, of course.
I was the leader of it,
of the road. Got a corking interview with Mickey.
Yeah, he said he was going to talk to us.
Yeah.
Pedos
up with them.
We don't want compensation! We want justice!
Yeah, Pete, do you know Gordon Bowden? You watched his stuff? Well, the bloke he works with is here. John Patterson.
Government trolls back there.
Which ones?
On the left. They were blaming the paedophile rings on the Muslims.
Yes, yes.
I've got it all on here.
Have you? Brilliant. No, they were a bit of a worry because I thought they...
Those two guys there,
yeah.
They're National Front.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, we know, yeah.
Look at me like this. I had to pretend I was with them, I was going like that.
Yeah.
They were blaming all the paedophile rings on the Muslims.
Yeah, yeah, but that's what the government wants to do, isn't it? That's what the government want to do. They don't want people knowing that it's the majority of paedophiles are white men.
Yeah, I'll explain all that on the video.
Yeah, yeah, that's good.
I'll have a series of them.
Yeah.
But
here we go, stop the traffic. There was about 20 of us here on one of the demos. Yeah. Now you see the worst ones are the taxis. They will just run you over.
yeah.
Pedos out!
child abuse. Good on Sorry, darling, I'm on a... watching. Keeping in mind, most of the people here are actually survivors of abuse.
You can't be enjoying them. I just got off that bus.
Come and join us.
Yeah.
Where were you off to? You just passed through here.
I'm just heading down to I got off and see what was on.
Yeah, do you know what it's about?
Well, I can see from the panel.
Survivors of abuse that want an open and transparent.
They said something to the BBC there, but I couldn't hear it. Just the lack of coverage, is it?
Yeah. Well, yeah, not just lack of coverage, but there's no action. Nothing's being done. For years, this has been going on.
It was going on. I lived in Ireland in the late 70s and 80s, and it was going on in Cora.
Yes, yeah.
Child's home there.
Yeah.
And it was covered up, and it was known by everybody.
Including MI5 and MI6, yeah.
Well, they were part of the problem.
Yeah.
The elites from here were all getting flown over military flights to abuse children in homes in Belfast.
But do you know
and it was like a D notice on it, and it was just totally covered up.
But the sickening part is that was then used, that child suffering was then used in order to blackmail people into behaving in a particular manner. So they haven't just had the abuse, they then used it to manipulate the situation. Yeah, shocking, absolutely disgusting. And these people look down on us.
Fair play.
Go over there, love to see you. Yeah, Bill Maloney's over there, Mumsy's over there, Mickey Summers is over there. They're all high profile abuse survivors, should I say.
Yeah, that's the way stepping the bus comes by when it's going on.
Right, I need to go back and join them. John Patterson.
Yeah, you do. I just, this is fantastic. I didn't expect this.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this is a typical abuse thing. There were a fraction of this one year, last year, and we did it 5 times to stop the whole of the traffic for about half an hour at a time. It inconveniences them, you see. Then people will stop and look at. But a gentleman over that I was talking to over there was on one of the buses, and he got off and came and joined us.
Oh, excellent.
You know, and that was amazing.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is, he was in Ireland when King Cora was going on, and he was telling me about King Cora.
Okay.
That was. If I can catch up with him later, I'll.
Well, a lot of people know what's going on, but they never get a voice.
No, or they don't hear about it, or they'd love to come out and support, but they can't get to London. But this is going on all around the country, which is brilliant.
Excellent.
There's John Patterson.
My dear friend.
Sharon. That's it. Sharon. From the Crossroad.
The Crossroad. There you go. Tune in.
Time for some lunch, I think. We'll have to sit down and start a picnic up just outside Westminster.
Yeah, good idea.
Let's go and see what's going on over here. Thumbs up. They need to spend the rest of their lives in prison. This is Sharon from the Crossroads with John Patterson. He's going to be reading out a statement from Zach Goldsmith. So it's over to you, John.
This is a statement by Zach Goldsmith. I have no doubt that grotesque things have happened at Elm Guest House and other places around the country at the hands of depraved and powerful people, and that those things were systematically covered up. The evidence is overwhelming, and it is a national disgrace that it has taken so long for governments to act. But I am pleased that thanks to extraordinary campaigning by some journalists and many survivors, the Home Secretary has heard these arguments, and that she set in place an all-encompassing inquiry. The very fact that the inquiry is happening has already stimulated far great action by police. I hope the process is sufficiently advanced that whatever happens at the election, we will get to the bottom of these monstrous events. But it is for all of us to remain vigilant and ensure the inquiry is never blown off course. Victims need heard,
Yes.
and criminals need to face the law.
Yes.
I want to congratulate and thank all those both inside and outside of Parliament who help pressure the government to take action. For many, the wait has been a lifeline, but it is drawing to a close. Thank you, Zach Goldsmith.
Right.
Okay, this is a statement from a Bryn Allen survivor, Kaz Tigger, and you can find all our information on Bryn Allen Victims Blogspot. So if you want to research any of her stuff, Bryn Allen Blogspot, Kaz Tigger, and this is her.
Diane Healing will be reading this on behalf of.
This is one of her statements, and she's entitled it Survivor Support. The one thing survivors were promised in 2012 was support. That support has not been forthcoming. There are tales of key witnesses being left to make their own way to sentencing, a key factor in the journey toward acceptance of events and a certain level of closure. People, 2 years after being promised counselling, are still waiting for it to start or are being told to fund it themselves. The police are very unapproachable for the most part, unwilling to push the boundaries of their remit or explore the truth of what they are supposed to investigate. When asked if she had read the Waterhouse report, one DC sent out to survivors' homes under Operation Pallial said, "Of course not. Have you seen the size of it?" The survivor replied, "Yes, I've read it several times." One thing nobody seems to be taking into account is the effect this has on survivors' families. Loved ones are left to pick up the pieces each time a dark anniversary comes around, or a chance remark triggers a memory, or the police phone to say the CPS are going to write to say, "Sorry, not enough evidence to prosecute." Or worse, sorry, time limitation. There is no help for those that see the daily self-destruction and can do nothing to stop it. She's also gone on to write about Triax Consultancy, which I found quite fascinating. She's written currently over 200 safeguarding teams around the country are advised on policy by Triax Consultancy Limited, a subsidiary company of Cambion Group Limited, managed by the US private equity firm GI Partners Limited. In December 2014, a director of Triax resigned from the board. 2 weeks later, Philip Andrew Barnett stood on trial with 3 other defendants charged with crimes against victims whilst he was employed at Wisteria Lodge. Under Advanced Childcare Limited, they operated over 155 out of 455 total in the UK children's homes and special schools across the UK, providing just 474 placements for children, having purchased Clifford House in 2011, 13 homes. They also run SACS, Sexual Abuse Child Consultancy Service. Their aim is to assist a child through therapy. Cambion Education, aimed at children and young people with a number of problems, including Asperger's syndrome and autism. Cambion Childcare, yet more homes. Cambion Foster Care is a fostering agency based in Midlands, North West, South West and Yorkshire, providing a service for young people. An Ofsted review of the childcare industry in 2013, commissioned by Michael Gove, the Education Secretary, reported that 1 in 3 homes run by Advanced Childcare failed to be classified as good or outstanding by the Education Watchdog.
That's disgusting.
Care UK Services Limited are another key player in the private childcare sector, owning such companies as Keys Education Limited, Care UK Home Care Limited, Care UK Learning Disabilities Limited, Corvedale Care Limited, Corvedale Independent Units Limited, Milverton Court, and the largest independent sector treatment centre specialist under an NHS tendered contract. They too carry serious weight when it comes to reform. Thank you for listening and for your time and for your patience.
Thank you. The thing that's pertinent about all those companies that you just heard about is that they have tenuous links right back to Peter Wrighton. So look up Peter Wrighton and Pi. That's where it's all come from. So, and you can look up her blogspot, Bryn Allen Victims blogspot, and it will explain how Pi infiltrated the system. So educate yourselves.
Right. Thank you for reading that, Diane.
Hi there, I'm Chris Tuck and I'm speaking on behalf of Simon Danczuk, MP. Further to our conversation earlier this week, please find enclosed a statement from Simon to be read out on today's rally. Simon Danczuk said child abuse is one of this country's most shameful secrets, and I'm pleased to see it's now being dragged out of the shadows and people are slowly waking up to the fact that we've turned a blind eye to a massive scandal for far too long. I'm sorry I can't be with you today. I'm currently campaigning to stay in Parliament, where I hope to carry on fighting to secure justice and support for survivors of child sexual abuse. I know we're now in a general election period, and I share your frustration that Parliament is making slow progress in its inquiry into decades of childhood abuse that's been covered up by the establishment, but your voices will not be silenced. Your determination to get to the truth will not be stopped, and I'm confident that the powers that will not be able to be putting this genie back in the bottle. The truth must and will be told. Many thanks for the opportunity, and I hope this event goes well. Best regards, Matthew Baker and Simon Danczuk.
Thank you, thank you.
From Peter McKelvey, who's a whistleblower from the Islington Children's Care Homes, 1980s, early 90s. And he would like to say, he's got a message for survivors here today. He'd like to say, I have little doubt that a relatively small but significant number of MPs and Lords have sexually abused vulnerable children over at least the last 50 years. Present information implies that the number could be between 20 and 30, but the allegations need to be thoroughly investigated and final figures could be higher. I have no doubt in my mind that politicians from all three main political parties are amongst the most powerful names that have been passed to various police forces in the last couple of years. I have also no doubt in my mind that the hierarchies of all three main political parties would have known of any allegation against someone in their own party, and that there has been a history of collusion and cover-up right across the board amongst the individuals and agencies that should have exposed such criminal behaviour and put child protection before any other consideration. Peter McKelvey, whistleblower, Islington.
Thank you, Terry. This is Sharon from the Crossroads. I'm with Andy outside the Houses of Parliament. I'm just going to hand over to Andy and he can explain things a lot better than I can. So it's over to you, Andy.
Yep, right, thank you for this. Right, first of all, I'd like to say thank you very much for helping us out here and getting the word out about a gig I'm putting on the 17th of July at the Dog in Darlington. We've got about 4 or 5 acres of land. We've got a sound system going on. We're going to bring survivors to this place where we can all talk about how the solicitors have how the solicitors have dealt with our cases so far and how they're dealing with it right now today. We're also going to be exposing phone calls that I've personally made myself to the police, and the way one minute they've got records of everything and all of a sudden now they haven't got any records. The solicitors themselves and the games that they're playing within things like ringing us up a couple of days before our birthdays, and this just doesn't go for me as a survivor. It goes for other survivors and their experiences, where the police will purposely phone you up a couple of days before your birthday to tell you that they've now not got any records of you ever survived being in care, and that there's no records of me ever being visited by the police in the first place. The solicitors firm, they're making up stories where I gave them statements about what had happened to me in care in lots of different places. There's a court case going on at the minute with St William's. Brother James McCarriger, who's in Leeds Crown, who's getting heard at Leeds Crown Court. He's been charged with 120 rapes. Oh. It's been going back from the 60s. And it all just came out the blue in 1992. He's been charged. He's since done 12 years in jail. They've released him. They've now re-arrested him and charged him with a further 82 sexual abuse offences. So hopefully he'll be going back to jail. Now, what I'd like to put across is that how the hell has this guy got bail in the first place? I find it disgusting.
That's a little bit worrying as a parent. That is worrying.
Yeah. You know, this guy's released. He's free to walk about. Obviously, he's maybe monitored. I'm not sure whether he's in an institution that he has to go back to a bail, or any bail conditions and stuff like that. But he is free. He's allowed to walk free around the streets. 120 rape cases. Why haven't they kept him in jail and kept him on remand?
Yeah, he is a danger. He is a danger to society.
82. Yeah, absolutely. Anyway,
How can people get hold of you if they want to know more about this this gig you've got going on?
Right. My number is 07904 058 312 if anybody wants to call me. I've also got a YouTube channel called The Truth Machine, where I've made video advertising what we're going to be doing at the gig, some of the bands that are playing and things like that. We're going to have Mickey Summers doing some speeches. There's going to be myself, a lady called Kaz. Pie and Mash Films are coming, Bill Maloney. Various other victims are going to be coming up. So on the first day we're going to be talking about how the solicitors have been conning us, how the police have been lying to us about the evidence that's suddenly starting to disappear, and that all our files are now destroyed or supposedly destroyed. And on the second day we're going to be talking more about common law and how we can maybe take it to a common law court and take it out of the hands of the solicitors, possibly fight it ourselves. Just as a taster of the sort of things that we're going to be exposing is that I personally have been given a bill for £20,000 for my court case to be just looked at by the solicitors so far. But I've been told by the same solicitors firm that my child abuse, starting from a year old in jail in care up until I was 16 years old, my claim is only worth actually £10,000.
Oh my
So in actual fact, what the solicitors are saying to me is that by the end of my court case, for my justice, I am going to be £10,000 in debt with the solicitors
scandalous.
firm. And these are the sort of little sneaky ways that they are pushing people into suicide themselves. Now, I personally have written them back a letter saying to them that I've recorded every single conversation that we've had with them and caught all the discrepancies within what they've said fighting the case 1 minute as a single case, and all of a sudden they're bunging it into a double case. There's other things like the police, like I say themselves, saying that all the information now is, you know, from the police first coming to interview me 12 years ago, there's now no records of that ever happening.
Oh my goodness. That is quite common though.
Yeah,
that's
the
quite
police
common.
officers can't even remember seeing what they'd seen. Seeing what they'd come to see me about, should I say, in the first place. I mean, how could that be? The police originally came to see me. I'd been sort of surviving and being an angry person up until I was about 37. When I finally started a family, it seemed like my life was finally settling down. You know, my life was going to start changing for the better. Knock, knock, knock on the door. Hello. We've got 2 guys in the cells. And they tried killing one of the priests that had been raping us, well, not just me, but other people, for over 30 years, since the 60s. And this had been going on, and it didn't get exposed until, like I said, 1992. Now, these guys that they had in the cells, they put a statement in saying, yeah, there was a guy called Andy that got knocked out. So the police said to me, they said, can you remember getting knocked out? I went, yeah, I can. I got told to go upstairs by a member of staff and go into a bedroom which had an adjoining door to the staff quarters. As I walked in that room, I got knocked out. They said, well, do you know how long you was unconscious for? I said I thought I was only out for a couple of hours. The police went, no, you was unconscious for 5 days. They kept me unconscious and drugged up for 5 days while they raped me.
Good grief.
Now,
and these are men of the cloth, allegedly, spiritual men.
These are the Benedictine monks, is what they were called. No, the Diocese of Middlesbrough is who they were. These are the priests that are monks that run this kids' home, like only priests and monks. Yeah, and it went on since the 60s. Anyway, there's much more. I'm going to be showing actual videos of the conversations so people can hear exactly how
that would be interesting.
You know, it's going to open a lot of people's eyes as to how deep this really, really goes. And I'm so happy that I decided that I would, from then on, start recording every single conversation. I'm glad I did now, because it was only 6-8 weeks ago I started going back to all the recordings that I've done, and that is when, obviously, piecing it together, I've suddenly realised, like, oh my God, this solicitor that's dealing with me is, there's just so much. There's just so much.
But you can explain all that on the day.
So you're going back to the same solicitor, working for another firm. I mean, this is how daft it's getting. Like,
and
I've got evidence of this, like, on camera.
But somebody's making a lot of money out of this.
Oh, mate, I'm going to be mentioning names on the gig.
That's good.
You'll hear it for yourself, telling me his name, saying he's working for one company, and then when I dump this company because I find out about the corruption, I go to another company and still get referred back to the same man.
Oh my goodness.
Unbelievable.
Oh my goodness.
Unbelievable.
Right,
anyway,
I've got to go over